Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
Happy it's Friday. That game last night was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it was. Absolutely.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we do, big time. We got some breaking news. I think this is kind of expected based on how things were looking, so we're going to get into that right away. So let's actually jump into it with the news that Daniel Jones has been released from the New York Giants. He's been there for 6 years. Actually, a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday, he actually came out with an interesting video talking about, it kind of sounded like a goodbye message, and that's what it turned out to be. Take a listen to what Daniel Jones had to say to the media a couple days ago.
The opportunity to play for the New York Giants was truly a dream come true, and I'm extremely grateful to the Mara and Tisch families for the chance to play here. Thank you to all my teammates, coaches, and staff that have done so much for me these past 6 years. I take full responsibility for my part in not bringing more wins. No one wanted to win more games worse than me, and I gave everything I had on the field and in my preparation. Of course, this season has been disappointing for all, and of course, I wish I could have done more. I'm 100% accountable for my part. The reality of the NFL is it's hard to win games and requires consistent performance from everyone involved. We didn't do that well enough, so the idea to change something happens, and I understand. I'm excited for the next opportunity and know that there's a lot of good football in front of me, and I'm excited about that.
That was followed up with a statement by Giants president John Mara, which said, quote, Daniel came in to see me this morning and asked if we would release him. We mutually agreed that would be best for him and for the team. Daniel has been a great representative of our organization, first class in every way. His handling of this situation yesterday exemplifies just that. We are all disappointed in how things have worked out. We hold Daniel in high regard and have great appreciation for him. We wish him nothing but the best in his future. Daniel Jones officially ends his Giants tenure with a record of 24-41-1 while under center. I would like to know, though, are you shocked at all that the Giants would decide to part ways with Daniel Jones at this point?
No, I think that this was sort of expected after the way the Giants have played so far this year. They only have 2 wins. The game in Munich, right? He threw 2 interceptions there late in the game, got beat by the Panthers. So, I can see why he got benched. I understand that, but I think they disrespected the guy. I don't think it was fair for to say you bench. That's one thing. That's fine. And I think they understand. I think he understands why he's benched. He didn't play well. They have a 2-8 record, and he also has that guarantee for an injury. If he gets injured anytime playing now this year, he's guaranteed $23 million next year. So they're looking at the situation with 2-8. We don't want to risk having to pay him $23 million next year when we know we're going to be going in another direction. So that's all fine. But then, to have him play safety on the practice squad and to bring in Tim Boyle so he drops to number 4 quarterback, that's disrespect.
He volunteered for that.
Yeah.
He volunteered. They needed people. He volunteered.
Yeah, well, I still think it's disrespected. I think that they could have, there's other things they could have had him doing. He is demoted to 4th-string quarterback behind Tim Boyle. After addressing the press on Thursday, he was asked whether he planned to be with the Giants the rest of the season. This is before he talked to Mara, which was today, said that while he is still processing that scenario, he wanted to be helpful to DeVito. He said, I think I'm still kind of processing, and for now, I'm doing the best I can to help Tommy prepare, help the team prepare. So I think he was first class in the way he handled it. I don't think the Giants handled it very well.
I think the Giants did a fine job because that was what you expected. It's the third year in a row where we've had to see a quarterback get demoted or benched because of an injury guarantee. It was Derek Carr, then it was Russell Wilson, and now it's Daniel Jones. That was expected, and on top of that, there is some reasoning, and it's clear that it also was due to performance. The Giants just weren't very good with Daniel Jones out there. Then late in the season, again, third year in a row, when it came late in the season when you had no shot of making the playoffs, no shot of being successful, you don't want to give him $23 million because of that injury guarantee. But to say that the Giants are disrespectful, I kind of disagree with that because he wasn't playing well. He did have an injury guarantee, which he signed to. They gave him $40 million a year on that 4-year contract. They gave him every ounce of stability they can. They gave him a really good receiver in Malik Neighbors. And I think this falls on Daniel Jones, and he even took accountability for his lack of play because since signing that contract, these are his numbers. 3-13 record, only 186.2 passing yards a game. Completion percentage is not too bad at 64. TD to interception ratio, 10 to 13. Yards per attempt, this is where it's brutal. 5.1. I mean, that's Danny Dinkendunk, as I call him. Passer rating is 76. He just wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough. He wasn't good in 2022. He was okay. But when you're so bad, and then you just perform a little bit better, it's like, oh my God. Top 10 quarterback. That's what I got criticized for not calling him a top 10 quarterback. And then what are we at? We're at 2 years later, and this is where we're at. He's benched. He's now released. He's going to go somewhere. Where? I'm not sure. Will he be on a team this season? Probably not. But he just wasn't good enough. Now, were the Giants the best franchise for him? Then we could argue about that. He was the 6th overall pick to a bad franchise, a bad GM, and at the time, a bad head coach.
He had 3 head coaches in 4 years to start his career, which wasn't too great. He also never had a decent offensive line, never had much talent around him. And I would say I don't disagree with anything you said, okay, in terms of what they did was fine. But to bring in another quarterback and have him be the 4th-string quarterback.
He volunteered to be on the practice squad.
But the fact that they brought in Tim Boyle, why did they do that?
Because they knew he was gone.
That was ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. He wasn't gone at that point. He hadn't said he wasn't gone. I bet you he wouldn't. I bet he wouldn't have asked for his release if they'd left him at the 3rd-string quarterback, and he never would have played. He wouldn't have played.
That is true.
Yeah, so I think they disrespected the guy. I don't think it was right.
I think bringing in Tim Boyle, yes, it was a mistake, but the practice thing that he volunteered for that, so I got no issue with that part of it. So yeah, bringing in Tim Boyle, I thought because immediately when I saw that, I texted because I have a number of Giants fans. I was like, oh yeah, Daniel Jones is done. He's gonna get he's demoted to QB4.
I think Schoen and Daboll may not be too far behind either because they blew it by giving Daniel Jones that contract. They could have They couldn't have given a contract to Saquon Barkley instead of franchise tagging him, making him angry. And now look what he's doing with Philadelphia when he's on a team that has some players. Right? Look at Saquon Barkley.
That's true.
Fantastic. Who knows what Daniel Jones might be able to do with some really good pieces around him. I think
actually we've seen it. 2022. Saquon Barkley, you look at the numbers when
he did
Saquon rushes 15 times. Daniel Jones, don't worry about the running game. Daniel Jones's numbers improved drastically, like near 74% completion percentage, very low turnover rate, high touchdown rate. Like it was a very nice, harmonious offense. Now you don't have Saquon. Tyrone Tracy's good, but Devin Singletary, he was never the answer.
Terrible.
We knew that going into the season.
They gave him a 3-year contract too.
Yeah, he was injured, but we also have to say, Malik Neighbors is the best receiver since OBJ. This has been their best offensive line in the Daniel Jones era, and we can look at the past couple weeks and be like, the offensive line was bad. It wasn't bad for 7 weeks. It's bad now because Andrew Thomas went down, but through the first 7 weeks, it was not a bottom 10 offensive line like it has been.
Yeah. Well, I think he'll get a chance to play next year.
Where?
I think he has
as
a decent skill set, and his demeanor is really good.
That's true.
I think that may position him to be a bridge quarterback for a team that's looking to draft or develop a young quarterback in the spring. I have 3 potential places for him to go as a backup or a bridge player.
I want to write these down.
I'd say Darnold signs elsewhere. Maybe he gets a shot at Minnesota because they'll have McCarthy, right?
Okay.
Or maybe the Panthers are giving up on Bryce Young, and they may draft a quarterback, and maybe he gets a shot there, and maybe the Colts give up on Richardson, and he gets a shot there. So I think there's 3 potential. Those are 3 potential spots where he might land and start out as the starter, as a bridge quarterback with the goal of passing it along to a rookie.
I'm just trying to look at some other teams here, because there are teams that have bad quarterbacks, but they're kind of in a position to draft one of the top ones, and this is not a good quarterback class whatsoever. Shedeur Sanders is the only one, really. And right now, the Jaguars are in, we like to go with the Russell Wilson term, in pole position to get that first overall draft pick. But the Giants right now, they're not the only 2-8 team in the NFL right now, because I'm looking at the standings here. The Giants are 2-8, the Titans are 2-8, the Raiders are 2-8, the Jaguars are 2-9. There's a lot of bad teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
There is a lot of bad teams in the NFL. So actually, if you're talking about bridge, I might throw Cleveland in there.
Maybe.
Because it seems like, and we're going to talk about this game right after this, but it seems like every quarterback that's not named Deshaun Watson finds a level of success in Cleveland. It just seems like that, because Jameis Winston has been a very good quarterback with them.
He's been good. I've always had good comments about Jameis Winston and thought that he deserved another chance. He's getting it right now in Cleveland.
He's actually doing a pretty good job.
He's still turning the ball over too much, though. But he's had 3 out of his 4 starts have been quality, and he's thrown the ball more than 200 yards in every game. So the guy can throw the ball. He just has to prevent throwing it to the other team.
And that has been the problem with Jameis Winston. That's why the Buccaneers got off him, because he had that 30 interception season with a number of pick sixes. I mean, it was just a bad year, and they went 9-7 or 7-9. You bring Tom Brady in, and all of a sudden you win a Super Bowl in the first year. That's rough. But in this past game, and we're going to get into it right now. So the Cleveland Browns upset Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now Mike Tomlin moves to 2-9 in road Thursday night football games. Jameis Winston, 18 of 27, 210 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 interception. Russell Wilson had a pretty good game, 21 of 28, 270 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. It seemed like it was a really good defensive matchup. Myles Garrett, 3 sacks on the day, but it came down to it. The Browns took the lead in the game's final minute with Nick Chubb taking in his 2nd touchdown of the day, and the Steelers on their last possession simply ran out of time. They had a Hail Mary where George Pickens decided to, instead of actually try for the Hail Mary,
you just watched it.
No, decided to get into a boxing match with, I think, Greg Newsome. So not a great look, and I want to play this clip right now, because this was George Pickens on the Cleveland Browns and on this game. Take a listen.
What do you guys try to take away from this loss? What's the message, in the locker room?
Just keep grinding. Like I said, conditions played a huge part in today's game. I don't really think the Cleveland Browns are a good team at all. I think the conditions kind of saved them today.
So then here's my question. What was your reaction? We heard George Pickens. Browns aren't a good team. Conditions played a massive part in this game. I want to know, what's your reaction to the Browns' upset over the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Just to comment on Pickens there. Guess what, George? The other team had the same conditions, right? It's
Bingo.
Not, it doesn't, just because you didn't like the conditions, everyone had those conditions, not just you. It wasn't just the Steelers that were fighting those conditions. The Browns were too, and they found a way to win the game. So it's just sour grapes. My takeaways here, first snowball of the year, right? That was kind of cool watching that, actually. I kind of like games like that. I'd say it was a trap game for the Steelers, who should have known better after they beat the Ravens, that big Ravens win. Then they go in and get beat by the Browns, who got demolished by the Saints. Come on. What are you thinking? And the Browns have beat the Ravens and the Steelers, right? They only have they have 3 wins, right? Two of them are to their big division opponents, who are great teams. So it's hard to understand that, which leads to my other takeaway here. A stunning victory for the Browns, ending Steelers' 5-game winning streak. Yeah, that's big. And so some analysis here of the Browns win. And they'd blown a 12-point lead. They were ahead 18-6 in the fourth quarter and were down 19-18. Got the ball back with 3:22 left after Jameis Winston threw an interception, which looked to be the killer, right? But they got the ball back, and then they held them. And Pittsburgh's punter, Corliss Waitman, shanked a 16-yard kick, and that gave the Browns great field position. They 45-yard drive. Jameis Winston, some nice passes on that drive. Did they have a fourth down on that? Yeah, they did. They threw one to Judy, and he caught it. It was a low pass, but he managed to get it. And then Chubb ran it in, and there was only 57 seconds left. And Wilson's Hail Mary on the final play was knocked down by the safety there, Grant Dilpit, in the end zone. I'd say despite the disastrous season, the pressure on Stefanski probably is a little less now after victories over the Steelers and the Ravens. Garrett had 3 sacks in the game, as you mentioned. They were all in the first half. Winston there, 2 turnovers, a strip sack by Nick Herbig, his second one in 2 weeks. He'd done that pretty good, leading to that 19-yard TD pass from Wilson to Austin. And then Winston also threw that interception to Dante Jackson, which looked like that could be the end of the game, but they held, got the ball back, did the 45, lucky to get that shank punt for 16 yards, brought the ball back down and managed to score. So it was big. It was an exciting game.
I would completely agree with you. This was the Browns defense that we saw last year, because there were a number of phenomenal plays. Obviously, Myles Garrett, the 3 sacks, but also I want to give credit to Dalvin Tomlinson, 10 total pressures, 8 quarterback hurries. He was disturbing Russell Wilson all night. But this is now the second straight game, and I understand the numbers look good, but ineffective offense on the Steelers' part. You score the first touchdown of the game in the fourth quarter to Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston is the other quarterback, and you're only able to score your first touchdown in the fourth quarter. The offensive line should be better than this, and it has been throughout the year. The offensive line for the Steelers has had some really good moments. But also, Mike Tomlin, everyone considers him a phenomenal coach, and he is. He's one of the best home underdog coaches in NFL history. But on the road, being the favorite on Thursday Night Football, he's 2-9. His team averages 19.6 points and gives up 23 points, and he has a negative turnover differential. He's lost 9 of the last 10 road Thursday Night Football games. Could it be he really likes the long time, the week to prepare, and these short weeks aren't that great for him? Maybe, because he had some very costly calls in this one. He squandered 3 timeouts with just questionable timing. The first one he burned late in the third quarter, while the remaining 2 were really inopportune moments during the last 2 minutes, with really 1 timeout with, 35 or 45 seconds left in the game to go essentially the length of the field. So Mike Tomlin did not do a good job coaching whatsoever. Also, bringing out Justin Fields in questionable situations. There was a 4th and 2 that he came out in. And I understand that, having a super mobile backup quarterback could be interesting in some certain packages, but we've seen Justin Fields be a pretty decent thrower in this season. And the first couple plays, he was used primarily as like a wildcat player, as a snap-the-ball QB draw. So once you're out there for the first couple times and you look at Justin Fields and all he's doing is taking the snap and running it, you kind of know what's coming. It's kind of like the Lamar Jackson 2-point conversion. It's like, well, if you have Justice Hill to your right and Lamar Jackson's the quarterback and you got wide receivers and tight ends lined up in the slot, no one's out wide, really. Well, there could be 2 things. One, it'll be a rollout pass or Lamar Jackson's going to take it because nobody's going to fear Justice Hill on the 2-yard line. And this is kind of a similar situation. So yeah, we heard about these packages with Arthur Smith and Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And for the Ravens game, it actually worked out beautifully because we saw, the pocket collapse and Russell Wilson has to roll out left or roll out right and sometimes scramble. He's just not quick. You bring out Justin Fields for that, break him to the outside, and it worked pretty nicely. In this game, the Browns, wasn't there a QB sneak that Justin Fields is also a part of? I might be mistaken because there was the 9-yard run and there was a QB sneak in the Ravens game.
But he missed on one. They sent him in there and he couldn't get it.
Right. The 4th and 2 in this game, that was just a bad call. And then I think Russell Wilson handed it off to Jalen Warren on a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2. That blew up in your face. So some of these calls were just bad.
Yeah.
TJ Watt completely annihilated in this game. Tyler Conklin did a phenomenal job on the offensive line. And this was a Browns offensive line that was banged up and one of the worst in the NFL. Deshaun Watson getting killed in the backfield. But I commend the Cleveland Browns immensely for the amount of effort they put in. Dalvin Tomlinson, Myles Garrett, a combined 18 pressures and 12 quarterback hurries. I mean, Russell Wilson was being tormented in the backfield in this one. So yeah. Props to the Browns.
Yeah, well, the Steelers only got 7 points off 3 turnovers. The first loss for Russell Wilson as a Steeler. And I think the strategy of bringing Justin Fields in, his passing is not I think he can be an okay passer, but he needs to get warmed up.
Yeah.
And when they only put him in there, whatever, like two or three plays a game, and they let him try to throw it, his passes were not good last night, and the Browns were expecting him to run.
Exactly.
So, if you run it, it's going to be tough. He probably won't get it. You pass it, and he's only been out. He hasn't warmed up or anything. The passes don't work, so I'm not so sure bringing him in these situations is such a good idea.
Well, and he even admitted that he was stiff because he was brought in to be that wildcat quarterback run. And then you have him throw one pass, and it wasn't that great. And then
he threw 2 passes.
He threw 2 passes, yeah. And he also had a nice 30-yard run, but before that, it was like some of these decisions to bring him out here is just very, very questionable. But no, good job to the Browns. You win another game. This is the first time in a long time that you beat the Steelers in consecutive games. I believe it's at home. That's the number. Maybe just consecutive games straight up. So Mike Tomlin, he has to sort of fix the Thursday night football I guess you would call it scare, because 2-9, you lost 9 of your last 10. That's bad. You're this head coach that is one of the best in NFL history.
The Browns have won 7 in a row on Thursday night.
It's tremendous to look at that.
I think what my takeaway on that one is the Browns have not been good generally for a long time, right? I mean, last year they got lucky with Flacco and they made the playoffs.
I don't know about lucky. Flacco was pretty damn good.
He had a lot of interceptions.
He did,
right? Yeah,
they'd win comeback player there though.
What the teams are thinking, it's a short week. The Browns are not that tough. They're not. The preparation for these teams is not that great, and the Browns are a spoiler, and they managed to win all those games. So I think the Steelers, it was a trap game, and they fell into the trap.
I 100% agree. And now you have to look ahead at more division games, because that's how the Steelers' schedule panned out. You're going to face the Browns again, the Bengals. You're going to face the Ravens again. I believe the Chiefs are also a part of your schedule. I mean, this is a very, very hectic schedule moving forward.
How did the Browns lose by 21 points to the Saints?
Taysom Hill.
I don't get it.
And that's kind of what Justin Fields, the Steelers are trying to make Justin Fields, trying to make him that Taysom Hill. The only problem is he doesn't weigh like 230 pounds and has the body of a tight end. Taysom Hill does. Taysom Hill is that sort of utility tight end quarterback run piece. I think Taysom Hill scored 3 total touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns on the
they weren't ready
Browns
for him
last week, and now Justin Fields come in and sort of has that same role. It just wouldn't work like that. Let's take a break. Coming up, we're doing something new. You got your first top 10 quarterback list in 2 years. We're going to break down your top 10 quarterbacks, as well as we got week 12 right now. The first game's down. We got a bunch more to go. We'll break down every single matchup and pick who wins, who loses. And we had a very good, interesting, and unique Harvey Hot Hand week. We're bringing it back once again. We'll talk about that right after this break.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online, and Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley eSIM data gift.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is your top 10 quarterback list. This is the first top 10 quarterback list that you've done in, I think, about 2 years. The last time you made a top 10 list, I hate to kill your credibility immediately, you had Mac Jones and Zach Wilson in your top 10 list. You think I'm joking? But you did have Zach Wilson and Mac Jones in your top 10 list.
Well, thanks, Nate.
But, things have changed drastically since then, although maybe not. I'm looking at some of your picks here. Maybe not. But let's break into it with your top 10 list. Let me just cue all these up right now for you.
Babe, before you go to the numbers there, I want to talk about my rationale.
Sure,
here,
go for it.
The methodology, okay?
Go for it.
So, as we've said many times on our show, and I've said repeatedly, the quarterback handles the ball on every play, right? The quarterback's the most important player on the team. Lots of other players are important, that's for sure. You don't win generally with a terrible defense or a poor offensive line or, weak skill players. But the quarterback handles the ball on every play, and he's the most important player. So metrics, I think, are important. They don't tell the whole story, but metrics are important. The one that I like the best is the QBR rating. That's a metric that evaluates a quarterback's overall performance in a game. I like that. It takes into account rushing yards, fumbles, penalties, and strength of the defense in addition to the passing stats. So I like that's a more comprehensive stat. The passer rating, on the other hand, is a combination of completion percentage, yards per attempt, touchdown percentage, and the interception percentage. The highest possible rating there is a 158.3. It doesn't consider third down conversions, avoiding sacks, late game heroics, it penalizes you for an incompletion. There's many times that the quarterback, the best play they can make is to throw it out of bounds. So I don't like the passer rating so much. So in my methodology here, I looked at the stats for what I think of the top 10 quarterbacks, and I started with the NFL.com top 10 list, and I took the QBR rating, and I gave it, I weighted it. I said 1.5 times. I took the QBR rating, multiplied it times 1.5, because I think that says more about how well a quarterback plays, because it takes into consideration how tough the defense is that they're playing against. And then I added that to the passer rating. Okay. And then I ranked the 10 players. And while I say the quarterback is the most important player on the team, you look at the records of these quarterbacks that I have in the top 10. I got one quarterback in the top 10 that has a 4-6 record. I got one that has a 5-5 record. I got one that's got a 4-7 record. Okay. And then I look at some of the teams where the quarterbacks aren't ranked at all. Philadelphia, Hurts, I don't have him in the top 10. 8-2 record. Minnesota, Darnold, I don't have him ranked in the top 10. They're 8-2. Wilson for Pittsburgh, although he hasn't played that many games yet, they're 8-3. I don't have him in my list. And Jordan Love, he's not in there. And the Green Bay's 7-3. So record isn't everything. Okay, the quarterback can't control everything. But the quarterback is the most important player, And my top 10 list, using my formula, and I want to make one other factor here. I have a turnover factor in here.
Okay.
The turnover factor where I add interceptions and fumbles together. Right?
Total turnovers. Total turnovers.
Yeah, total turnovers. And you're going to be surprised in some of these. I mean, the lowest in the top 10 for the turnover factor is 5. 2 players have that. 5 turnovers. And the highest or top is 16. 16 turnovers.
I think a lot of people can guess who that is.
Yeah. Can guess who that is. So with all of that, let's get started here.
With the first one,
Number 10.
Number 10.
I have Baker Mayfield. And you know what? I'd like to rank him higher. I really would, because I think he's played very, very well this year, given all the adversity he's been up against. He's a very tough player. He has he takes off running sometimes and takes some wicked hits. His 192 yards rushing. His almost 71% completion percentage. He's one of 2 quarterbacks in my top 10 that are over 70% completion percentage. He's right up there in the yards, 2,500 yards. He's second in that in my top 10 list. But his turnover factor, I'm sorry, is 16. And his record, 4-6. Those turnovers have hurt. And his combined Harvey formula with the QBR weighted factor and passer rating at 187 puts him down at the bottom here. So Baker Mayfield, number 10.
Number 9.
Now, moving on to, and I would say the NFL.com had Baker Mayfield ranked number 9.
So let's go number 9.
So number 9, I have, and this is an interesting one, Patrick Mahomes, okay? I think Patrick Mahomes, ranked number 3 by the NFL, is more because of who he plays for, the Chiefs, right? Who won 2 Super Bowls in a row, have a 9-1 record, and have Mahomes, who has had a sterling career so far, has a 102 quarterback rating for his career. I'm sorry, that's a passer rating. He has a 102 passer rating. I think they're not looking at his performance this year. They're looking at his career performance, and that's not right. They should be looking at how he's played so far this year, and it hasn't been that great. His turnover factor is 9. He has 9 turnovers. He has, let's see, he has 9 interceptions and no fumbles.
Are you sure? Mahomes has 11 interceptions, no fumbles.
I have 9 here.
It's 11.
It's 11? Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, the Harvey combined quarterback rating and passer rating factor, 190, only 190. My top quarterback has a combined rating of 229, so he's way down the list on this. So, his yards so far, 2,281. His completion, his yards so far, 2,208. He only has 12 TDs, 9 interceptions. Well, you say he has 11 interceptions. You've got to check that.
I'm right. Don't worry.
Okay. His percentage completion is pretty good, almost 70 at 69.5. But I think he's way overranked by the NFL at number 3. I have him at 9. Moving on.
Number 8.
Number 8, I have Justin Herbert, who the NFL ranks at number 5. His combined QBR passer rating with a weighting factor at 188 puts him down the list at number 8. His turnover factor is good at 5. His win-loss record at 7-3 is pretty good. His yards, though, he hasn't reached 2,000 yet. He's at 1,889. His completion percentage at 66 is good. TD's only 11, right? But he's only thrown 1 interception, so that's good. But overall, the performance, I think, by these metrics, and the metrics aren't everything. I give you that. And the Chargers have definitely come back. I think Harbaugh, as their coach, has made a huge difference. But I have him at number 8. Moving on to number 7, Brock Purdy. Okay, the NFL ranked him at number 8. His combined QBR passer rating with the weighting factor at 197. His turnover factor is terrible. He's at 13. His record shows it, 5-5. He has a lot. His passing yards are good at almost 2,500, but only 12 TDs and the 7 interceptions and 6 fumbles. Come on, Brock. You can do better than that. So the NFL had him at 8. I have him at 7, a little bit higher. Moving on to number 6.
Number 6.
I have Jaden Daniels. I'm very impressed with him. He's a rookie. He's a number 6 rated quarterback. My methodology here with 201 total points in the combined rating factors. He only has 5 in the turnover factors, just 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles. He only has 9 TDs, which is a little light, but his wide receiver core, he only has one guy, really, McLaurin, to throw to. He's over 2,000 yards passing, and his completion percentage at 68.7 is excellent. So the NFL had him ranked at 7. I have him at 6. Moving on to the top 5 here. It's getting exciting now.
Number 5.
My number 5 quarterback is Jared Goff. And his total points on rating assessment, 201. He's the first quarterback. No, Jaden Daniels was at 201. Jared Goff just beats him by just 0.3 of a point at 201.3. But the win-loss percentage, win-loss is there, 9-1 for the Lions, man. They can't do anything wrong. But the turnover factor for Goff at 13, terrible. He had the one game where he had 5 interceptions. But still, 71% completion, over 2,000 yards passing, 16 TDs. The 9 interceptions hurts him. The rushing yards, nothing. He doesn't he doesn't run the ball very often. Only 18 yards. I forgot to mention Jaden Daniels at 464 yards rushing. Not so bad. So Goff, I have at number 5. The NFL ranked him at 6. Moving on to number 4.
Oh, sorry.
You ready?
Yep.
Number 4.
Number 4, Josh Allen. And that's where the NFL ranked him as well. Having a great year. He gets 207 points for me in the ranking with the QBR and passer rating factor. His turnover factor, he had a problem with turnovers in his career. He's up there at 9. He's got 4 interceptions, not so bad against 17 TDs, but 5 fumbles, And the offensive line has had its troubles for the Bills, and that may contribute to some of those fumbles. But, the turnover factor is a little high. The record is great, 9-2. The completion percentage, almost 64%, almost 2,300 yards passing. He has 4 rushing TDs, which is nice for him, right? To combine with the passing TDs, that gives him 21. So he's having a great season. I rank him at number 4, and that's where the NFL had him as well. Number 3. And here's my big surprise. I have Kyler Murray at number 3. My rating system gets him 213 points, quite a far ahead of Allen and the rest of the pack. Allen had 207, Murray at 213. Their record's 6-4. I mean, they're playing much better this year. They're in first place in their division. The other team's not playing so hot in that division this year, with San Francisco really a surprise not playing so well. His turnover factor at 9. He has 3 interceptions. The fumbles are where he's hurt. He's got 6 fumbles, but he's almost a 70% completion percentage at 69.2. He has Marvin Harrison Jr. to throw to now. Over 2,000 yards passing, almost 2,100. 12 TDs, 3 interceptions. I think he's having a great season, and I rank him at number 3. Number 2.
Number 2.
I give that to Joe Burrow. I think it's a close between Burrow and my number 1 quarterback, which you can probably guess. The combined rating here, 221 points. Right up there. He's having a really good season throwing the ball. Almost 2,700 yards now, almost a 69% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. That's great. He's fumbled the ball 5 times, though. So his turnover factor is 9. And the record, 4-7. It's certainly not his fault. Their defense is very poor. So, and he rushed the ball 123 yards to boot. So I like Joe Burrow. I feel sorry for him that the team is playing so poorly. They're really on the outside looking in now with a 4-7 record. I don't see him making the playoffs. And my number one quarterback, as you might have guessed,
number one
is Lamar Jackson, who is also ranked, and I did mention Burrow was ranked number 2 by the NFL. Lamar Jackson ranked number 1 by the NFL and ranked number 1 by me. His total combined points, 229. Right up there. Turnover factor at 8. Fumbles the ball, man. He's got 6 fumbles. Only 2 interceptions against 24 touchdowns. That's fantastic. Almost 2,700 yards passing, almost 70%. It's 69.1% completion percentage. He has 538 yards rushing. That really stands out, man. Lamar having a fantastic year, maybe the MVP once again. And just one more thought on my combined rating analysis here. The gold standard here would be Tom Brady, right? His total weighted factor for his career now, 243. Huh? He blows these guys away. Although the season isn't over yet. But 243. Lamar going to be the MVP probably at 229. So I'd like to hear what you think about my analysis here.
Get Kyler Murray out of the top 5. Get him out of the top 5. You got to put in Justin Herbert in the top 5. He's having a phenomenal year. He's led a tremendous offense. The rankings I don't necessarily mind. Josh Allen I think should be higher. He's on right now a 6-game winning streak. He's currently the MVP favorite over Lamar Jackson. Jared Goff is also having a phenomenal year. I understand the 5-interception game, but he did lead them to then win that game ultimately. He just had a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 7 straight touchdown drives. He's incredible. Brock Purdy, I might bring down a little bit. I don't necessarily mind having Baker out there at all. Mahomes, I do think, is right now not a great quarterback. He is a fringe top 10 quarterback at the moment just because of the amount of turnovers and the sort of playing it safe as he has to, and even playing it safe, he has the most yards after the catch. I think he has the lowest average depth of target among qualified quarterbacks. He would be a fringe top 10 quarterback for me. So number 9, I don't necessarily disagree with, but get Kyler Murray out of there. He's only 22nd in average depth of target. He has only 12 passing touchdowns. He's 20th in passing yards. I mean, the numbers do not support the claim. Yes, your algorithm may, but the numbers.
My algorithm is driven by the numbers. His QBR is unweighted. His QBR unweighted is 75, and his passer rating is over 100. Okay. So, we can't say he's not doing so well passing. He has over 100. He's 20th in
passing yards. He's 20th in passing yards right now.
No. There are,
like you said,
listen to this. Mahomes' passer rating is 90. Okay.
I understand. He's having
there
a
are
bad year.
1, 2, 3,
top 10.
4 quarterbacks in the top 10 with passer ratings under 100, and Kyler Murray has over 100 passer rating.
Well, hold on.
Actually, 4. There's 5. There's one. Yeah.
Your passer rating, which you said in the pre to this, that's why it doesn't have the same weight as QBR.
It doesn't, but
it's
100 points.
It penalizes, not QBR, passer rating. It penalizes you for incompletions. QBR doesn't. You're talking about passer rating over 100.
Okay, his QBR unweighted is 75.
Okay,
there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks in the top 10 with a lower QBR rating, unweighted.
Well, in your top 10 list.
No, but you aren't moving any different quarterbacks into the top 10.
Yes, I am. Oh, no, not in the top 10.
No, you're not moving any.
Out of the top 5.
Out of the top 5.
Out
of the top 5, but you're not moving any new quarterbacks into the top 10. I'm doing this based on the top 10.
I may say just Jalen Hurts deserves. He's on a 6-game winning streak right now and has played pretty good offensively. Yes, Saquon does help. I really like Bo Nix, but
he isn't going to make it into the top 10.
I think he's close. He's done incredible the past, 8 weeks?
Yeah, I don't think he makes the top 10 right now. I mean, the only one that was close to me was Stroud. And on my ranking system,
12 touchdowns, 7
he's at 169 points. He wasn't even close.
I 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback right now. But please, get Kyler Murray out of the top
No,
5.
I think Kyler Murray belongs at number 3.
He's not a top 5 quarterback.
You wait and see. We'll see where they wind up. They're playing
They're
well.
playing the Seahawks right now.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? Let's actually break it down because we're doing our Week 12 picks here, so we're going to see exactly who comes out on top when it comes to the Seahawks and the Cardinals. But as always, I start us off for the weekly picks, so let's begin with my Week 12 picks. So last night, me and you both had the Steelers winning and covering. That did not happen. Jameis Winston, a tremendous upset victory on Thursday Night Football. Mike Tomlin moves to 2-9 on road Thursday Night Football games and has lost 9 of the last 10. How about this? Let's start off on Sunday. Vikings, minus 3.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bears. I'll take the Vikings here. They've played close games, good games, bad games. Sam Darnold throws interception games. Meanwhile, the Bears, they keep suffering crippling loss after crippling loss after crippling loss. The Hail Mary against the Commanders. And now a blocked field goal. You lose to the Patriots. I mean, Arizona, you don't even score a single touchdown. I mean, these have been some pretty bad losses. And I think we're going to see it again. I think the Vikings defense really shows up in this one. Sam Darnold just needs to keep the ball out of harm's way, which as of late hasn't been exactly what we've seen early in the year at least. So I expect a better game from Sam Darnold. I expect the running game to be good with Aaron Jones. And I expect Caleb Williams to lose once again because you and I both agree that the Bears have a very high likelihood at losing out. So I'm maintaining that integrity. Vikings win and cover a minus 3.5-point spread. The next one, the Buccaneers at the New York Giants. Tommy DeVito is a starting quarterback, and Daniel Jones got released. Also, Malik Neighbors does not look like he's ready to go. He has not practiced with a groin injury. So to me, that is lining for things to be beautiful in the sense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting the win here. And I will take Tampa Bay to win and cover. Baker Mayfield, they've lost 4 straight. But the losses have been incredibly close. All one-score games, or 3 out of the 4 have been one-score games, I believe. So Baker Mayfield and this Bucs team need to right the ship. I say they do against the New York Giants team. That is not good. Really, it is not good. I think the Tampa Bay defense torments Tommy DeVito. And they will win and cover a minus 5.5-point spread on the road at New York. Next one, the Patriots at the Dolphins. I'll take the Patriots to cover, the Dolphins to win. The Dolphins are on a really hot streak right now, one of the best third down teams in the NFL. Meanwhile, Drake May is probably sizing up to be one of, if not close to the best rookie in the NFL so far this season. I'll still give it to Jaden Daniels with Bo Nix knocking on his door. Meanwhile, Drake May just turned into the driveway. He's not quite at the front door yet, but Drake May has been incredible so far. A lot of people were like, no, you can't start him because the offensive line's bad and the weapons suck. I said, put him up against this bad offensive line. Have him face adversity early so he knows what it looks like, so he develops better habits. Well, guess what? It's been a complete success. He already beat the number 1 overall pick just like Jaden Daniels did. So I think right now, Drake May is the 3rd best rookie quarterback, although he's creeping up. If Jaden Daniels continues to slide, he may move into that 2 spot, and Bo Nix claims the number 1 spot. But in this game, I think it comes down to running. I think Ramondre Stevenson, he'll hold on to the ball. I think Gerard Mayo should play time of possession, keep the ball out of Tua's hands, which ultimately means keep the ball out of Tyreek Hill's hands. So I'll say the Patriots cover, but the Dolphins do get a relatively close win, and that's my Patriots-Dolphins take. Let's go to the next one, the Titans at the Texans. I'll take the Texans to win and cover. The Texans, a blowout win last week against the Dallas Cowboys. I say that they continue with that. L'Jarius Sneed for the Titans going on IR, which is a massive loss. The Titans right now look like big-time sellers. They're probably going to keep losing to potentially draft their next quarterback in this upcoming draft. I say the Texans continue rolling, and I say they win and cover a pretty big, but they say they do cover the 7.5-point spread. The next one, the Chiefs at the Panthers. It's weird, but it's very believable to say I don't believe the Chiefs will cover this big point spread over Carolina because they really haven't done that the entire season. But I am going to take them to win and cover because they are by far the better team. Better coaches, better quarterback, better offensive line, better weapons, better defense. Everything about the Chiefs is better. So what that should mean is that they blow the doors off of Carolina. I'm saying they do that. Mahomes finally puts up a great offensive game, which we haven't seen throughout most of the season. I'll take the Chiefs to win on the road and cover a massive 10.5-point spread. The next one's the Cowboys at the Commanders. I'll take the Commanders to win and cover at home against Dallas. Dallas right now, it's so weird what they're doing, and the noise coming out of Dallas. Stephen Jones said that they're not interested in getting Daniel Jones because they think Cooper Rush gives them the best chance to win, and they also want to see Trey Lance out there. But last time I checked, the only time we've seen Trey Lance all season was when Cooper Rush got benched. But then the following game, Cooper Rush was the starter again, played poor, but he was still out there. The Dallas Cowboys are a complete mess right now. Meanwhile, the Commanders, their offense has been shaky as of late. They need to get on a nice offensive track, and I say they do that against a very bad Dallas Cowboys defense, and the Commanders' defense, which is surprisingly good, will shut down anything Cooper Rush could even dream of doing, and this running attack from Dallas, which is legitimately garbage. All right, let's get into the next one. The Lions at the Colts. I looked all over the place, and I saw a bunch of people picking the Colts to cover, and some even picking for them to win outright. I don't understand that whatsoever. The Lions are coming off a 52-6 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are the best team in the NFL. Their offense is the best in the National Football League. They have the best 1-2 punch combo for running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They have Sam Laporta. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Jameson Williams. They have Tim Patrick. They have the best offensive line in the NFL. Jared Goff is third in MVP voting right now. The defense is incredible, at least the defensive front is. Brian Branch is the best safety in the NFL. They have everything going right for them. So then how are people choosing the Colts to at least cover this game? I don't. I think when it comes down to it, Anthony Richardson had a great comeback game. He had a great comeback game against a bad Jets team that, as we heard from Connor Hughes and a bunch of other reports, the Jets have given up on the season and they hope for it to be over already. The Colts beat up on a bad team. I'll take the Detroit Lions to win and cover the -7.5 point spread on the road. The Broncos at the Raiders now. Now, this point spread earlier today was -6.5 according to FanDuel, which all these point spreads are coming from. But now this moved a point in favor of the Las Vegas Raiders to -5.5. I'll take that every single day. Last time we saw these teams, the Broncos beat the hell out of the Las Vegas Raiders after Gardner Minshew threw a 100-yard pick six for Pat Surtain. Now, I'm not saying that we see another 100-yard pick six, but what I will say is Bo Nix is completely balling out right now. The running game is pretty decent. Offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. The defense has stepped up massively. They have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. Everything is going right for them, and this is a team that was projected 5.5 wins, and I believe they're already at 6 right now. So give me the Denver Broncos, who are a great team. They're still trying to make the playoffs in Bo Nix rookie year. I'll take them to beat the crap out of the Las Vegas Raiders and cover a -5.5 point spread on the road. The next one's the 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Now, I would have had the 49ers +3 outright winning. Then the news came in about 40 minutes before the show that both Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa will both be out for this game. I flipped instantly, and this point spread moved from -3 Packers to -5.5, and my guess would be by Sunday it may move even more in favor of the Green Bay Packers. But for me, with all these players out, Brandon Allen will be the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. It's not going to look pretty. It really isn't. This will be a heavy Christian McCaffrey game, which you might not want. Heavy Christian McCaffrey and Debo game, which you might not want with CMC coming back from an injury, although he's put up tremendous amounts of yards since he came back. But for me, this is Jordan Love kind of figuring things out. Last time we saw these teams go up against one another, it was in a playoff game, and Jordan Love outplayed Brock Purdy and had an opportunity to send them packing in the playoffs and just unfortunately didn't. So I say Jordan Love gets right here. Turnovers need to be toned down a lot. I think they get an opportunity for a San Francisco defense that has not looked great and just lost to Geno Smith. Not great. I'll take the Packers to win and cover a -5.5 point spread. The next was the Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, some sportsbooks have Seattle favored. FanDuel, as of making this list, still had Arizona favored by 1.5. I'll take Seattle here. Seattle showed a lot of grit last week, going up against the 49ers, going toe-to-toe with them, and then Geno Smith making some miraculous plays. The rushing touchdown, which ultimately was the game-winning touchdown. Meanwhile, they go up against the Cardinals defense that is still one of the worst in the NFL. Offensive line is not great for the Cardinals. Offensively, yeah, Kyler Murray could run around and dance and be an extremely mobile quarterback. You do have Marvin Harrison, but for me, this is Geno Smith executing on a bad defense. DK Metcalf, JSN. I think they're going to do a tremendous job. Kenneth Walker as well. I think they'll be able to get it done, and according to these point spreads, according to FanDuel, upset the Arizona Cardinals at home and obviously cover a plus 1.5 point spread. The next one, Sunday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. I don't quite understand this point spread. The Eagles are on a 6-game winning streak. Meanwhile, the Rams, they're a little bit shaky as of late, but they did get a big-time victory over the New England Patriots this past week on the road. But for me, this will be Philadelphia continues this very demonizing offense, and they just will cripple anything the Los Angeles Rams have to do on defense. Coverage-wise, I think Jalen Hurts will be tremendous. I think pass rush-wise, they're one of the best in the NFL, and Matt Stafford is one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure this season. One big-time throw to 10 turnover-worthy plays. He puts the ball in harm's way when the pocket collapses on him. So I say the Eagles capitalize. Jalen Hurts plays well. Saquon continues his dominance. I'll take the Eagles to win and cover a minus 2.5 point spread on the road. And finally, Monday Night Football, Baltimore at the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll take the Chargers to win outright on Monday Night Football and obviously cover a plus 3 point spread. The Ravens, coming off a bad Baltimore loss. Meanwhile, for me, this is really the defense will make Lamar Jackson uncomfortable. And we've seen a number of times the Chiefs this season, the Steelers this season, and when I'm projecting the Chargers this season, when a good defense is able to make Lamar uncomfortable, it really makes Todd Monken uncomfortable, and they change their identity. No more running the football. Heavy pass. And the numbers say the more you feed Derrick Henry, the higher chance you have of winning. The less times Lamar throws, if he throws 29 or fewer times, he wins 83.9% of his games. I think if the defense takes Derrick Henry out early, that'll change Todd Monken's play call, put the ball in Lamar's hands way more. Chargers defense is the best in the NFL. I'll take the Chargers to win outright. Justin Herbert continues his tremendous streak, and they win outright Monday Night Football, and those are my Week 12 picks. The Harvey Hot Hand was very difficult to do this week. A lot of interesting point spreads, a lot of picks that I didn't exactly love, but had to for the sake of picking it. Some of these games, fortunately, Denver Broncos aren't near double-digit point favorites. Eagles are only 2.5 point favorites, so a field goal will have us cover. The Chiefs, 10.5 point favorites over. I don't feel good about picking that point spread. I really don't. I feel like the Chiefs right now are just such a weird team that it would not surprise me if Carolina keeps it within 11 points. But those are my Week 12 picks.
Okay. So, my turn. It's an interesting week. There's 6 teams on byes, so there aren't all that many teams playing. You only have, generally there's 16 games in a week, and now it's only 13 this week because of the teams on the byes. My win-loss record, 9-5 last week. I'm having trouble with the point spread now. I'm under 500 on the point spread. But I'm hoping for better times here. We still got quite a bit of the season left to go. So let's get right into it here. I like the Vikings to beat the Bears. I've predicted the Bears would lose out from here. This will be the start of that with the Vikings at 8-2, number 5 power ranking, and the Bears at 4-6, 22 power ranking. And Caleb Williams with his quarterback rating of like 44. They're having a tough season, and their offensive line terrible. Not all Caleb Williams' fault, man. Patriots sacked him 9 times. So I think the Vikings will win that game pretty easily and cover. The Buccaneers against the Giants. I like the Bucs to win, but I don't think they'll cover. And the reason why is Tommy Cutlets is in the game. And the last year when he got in there and started, he won 3 in a row. And I think he'll find a way to give the Giants a spark. And they will. I think they're going to lose, but I think they'll cover in this game. They're record at 2-8, number 29 the power rankings. So the Buccaneers having to win this game now at 4-6. They have a decent team. Number 14 is Evans going to be back for this game.
Yeah,
so that's big, and that helped Mayfield out quite a bit. So I like the Bucs in that game. The Patriots at the Dolphins. Nate, the Patriots never win at the Dolphins. They never win. And 7 points, only a 7-point spread with the Patriots playing at the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to win and cover the point spread. I hate to pick against the Patriots because they're my team, as you can see, with my hat and my sweatshirt. They're 3-8, number 27 in the power rankings. We have a lot to hope for, though, with Drake May, as you mentioned. He's doing very well. I can't see him winning Rookie of the Year with his quarterback play because they didn't let him start until week 6. So if they'd let him start sooner, maybe their record would be a little better and their power ranking might be a little higher. Tua coming back now. They're starting to see the production from that. They're back to 4-6 now. Number 18 in the power rankings. I think they're going to win on Sunday in Miami. The Titans against the Texans. The Titans at 2-8, 30th in the power rankings, and the Texans 7-4, 11th in the power rankings. The Texans need this game, man. They've been a little shaky for a team that we thought had Super Bowl potential. I don't think they'll cover in this game. The Titans have a pretty good defense. And I think they're going to make it tough on the Titans, on the Texans, whose offensive line is not so hot. So I like the Texans to win, but I don't think they'll cover. Chiefs against the Panthers. As you said, this is the Chiefs' prohibitive favorite, given that the Panthers are 3-7 and 28th in the power rankings, and the Chiefs 9-1 and number 3. Chiefs looking to bounce back from losing against the Bills last week, and I think they will on the 10.5 point spread is big, but I think they'll find a way to cover it. Cowboys at Washington. The Cowboys season's over as far as I'm concerned. 25 in the power ranking, 3-7 record against Washington, having a really exciting year with the young quarterback Daniels playing fantastic. Ranked very high by me in the quarterback rankings. They have 7-4 record, 10 in the power rankings. Good coaching from Dan Quinn. I don't think they're going to cover. Interestingly, it's a 10.5 point spread, but I do think that the Washington will win, and that'll be the end of Cooper Rush. I think they'll let Trey Lance play the rest of the season. The Lions against the Colts. The Lions on a mission, 9-1, number 1 in the power rankings, 7.5 point spread. I think they'll cover against the Colts. But Richardson played much better last year, but their record 5-6, 20 in the power rank. I think the Lions will have a reasonably easy day. Be interesting to see how Richardson plays. He's definitely trying to bounce back after getting benched, and I don't wish him any ill will. I kind of hope he finds a way to play well. The Broncos against the Raiders. The Raiders are terrible, and they're Antonio Pierce, coming out and calling players playing for contracts, and it's just a bad situation there. I think they're 2-8. The record reflects how poorly they are, and their power ranking at 31. The Broncos, on the other hand, looking really good with Bo Nix. The record at 6-5. They've been in all their games basically since Bo Nix got comfortable with the offense. I think they're going to win this one and cover the point spread at 6.5 point spread. San Francisco at Green Bay. You mentioned the injuries to the two key players there, Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa. They're only 5-5, 16th in the power ranking. The Green Bay 7-3, number 8. I think Green Bay playing at home. Jordan Love needs to stop playing a little bit better, though. I think for a guy who got a $50 million contract, he hasn't been playing up to it, I don't think. Some of his interceptions and poor decision-making. But last year he turned it on in the second half of the season. Maybe this will be the game where he really gets it going. I think they'll cover the 3-point spread, 3-point point spread. The Cardinals against the Seahawks. This is a game for first place in the division. The Cardinals playing at Seahawks. That's definitely helps the Seahawks. But I'm picking the Cardinals with the number 3 rated quarterback Kyler Murray, turning it on and showing what he's got, covering that point spread at -1.5. Geno and the Seahawks falling to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals extending their lead in the division. Sunday Night Football, the Eagles at the Rams. I agree with you. How can the point spread only be 2.5 here? The Eagles are 8-2 and number 4 in the power rankings. The Rams 5-5, number 19. I think the Rams have a nice passing game with Puka Nacua. That guy is great. I was watching him play against the Patriots, man. He had some nice catches, some really tough catches. One catch he hurt himself on. I think knocked the wind out of him. He dove for it, got it, and hung on to it as he hit the ground. That guy's good. And Cooper Kupp is good too. So those guys are healthy, so they'll make a game of it maybe. But and maybe that's why the point spread's smaller. But I do think the Eagles, since the bye week, they've been awesome. Their defense playing great. Jalen Hurts making much better decisions, not turning it over in the red zone. I see the Eagles winning this game. And the Ravens at the Chargers, I disagree with you. I think the Ravens are going to find a way to win this game. They need it, really. They're at 7-4 now. Come on. They got beat by the Steelers. They need to bounce back win here. They've got the talent to do it. Lamar Jackson, my number one rated quarterback in the league. Derrick Henry, a steamroller when he gets it going. It's going to be tough against the Chargers. They're playing at home. Much better coach team this year. Justin Herbert having a good year. But I'm liking the Ravens to find a way to win this game and cover the 3-point spread. And those are my picks.
Well, a lot to look forward to. I say that that Lions-Colts game is an interesting one, but obviously Monday Night Football, Ravens-Chargers, that should be a good conversation to talk about on Tuesday, as well as potentially some upsets as we go throughout the week. But it is time for another rendition of the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it is basically where I pick the 5 games and the 5 teams. That's a spoiler right there. 5 games and 5 teams that you should bet on for this week. Now, last week was an interesting one because I gave you an extra pick. Totality, I went 5-2 last week. Now my overall record moves to 27-30. We're getting closer to the 500 with time running out. But this is week 12. It's time to jump into it. You already saw the first one, a little bit of a spoiler, but let's jump into it by giving you my first pick of the week 12 version of the Harvey Hot Hand. So here it is.
Lions at Colts.
So this one's an interesting one. I don't understand. I looked around some of the other people making picks, and I found out that they're picking the Colts to cover this point spread. I don't understand why. The Lions defense ranks 5th in scoring and 5th against the run. Indy's strength is Anthony Richardson's mobility and Jonathan Taylor. The Lions have a very suffocating defense, especially in man coverage. They run it the most in the NFL, which is 47.1% of their dropbacks. They hold QBs to a 54.8 passer rating, which is the lowest in the NFL by 14 passer rating points. They dominate in man coverage. They also have 8 interceptions while playing man as well. Richardson is god-awful against man. 40.4% completion percentage, only 325 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. The Lions are a juggernaut of a team. 7 straight touchdown drives against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The best running back combination in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Brian Branch. You have a tremendous plethora of talent, offense, defense, Jake Bates, kicker, special teams. I mean, they have everything. This is a juggernaut of a team. I say the Lions win 31-21 and cover a -7.5 point spread on the road. I don't see the Colts covering this game. I'm sorry. The next one.
Broncos at Raiders.
So this one, last time these teams played was back in week 5. Raiders scoring their first 2 drives, and then Minshew threw a 100-yard pick 6, which flipped the script from there. They ended up losing by 16 points. Bo Nix is a legitimate contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and since about week 4, he has been statistically the best rookie of this class. The defense of the Denver Broncos has played incredibly well this season so far. The Raiders, on the other hand, they don't have a consistent pass rush. They rank 28th in the NFL. Look what Bo Nix just did against the worst pass rush in the NFL. He put up over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was incredible. That's what you get when Bo Nix has time to throw. He's 6-0 in games which he's been pressured on less than 30% of his dropbacks. Guess what? The Las Vegas Raiders quarterback pressure rate is about 31%. So if the offensive line, which since week 7 has been the best pass-blocking offensive line according to PFF in the NFL, I think Bo Nix is going to be sitting pretty in the pocket, making the big-time plays. The Broncos are also 4-0 against the spread as favorites this season, and even dating back to last season, they've covered 5 straight games as favorites. So I'll take the Broncos to win here, 28-20, cover a -5.5 point spread. Once again, this was 6.5. There was a point flipped over into 5.5. That's even easier for me. I'll take the Broncos. -5.5 cover at Raiders. The next one.
Patriots at Dolphins.
Now this is a risky one. I normally, the past 2 seasons, have gone away from this team, but I'm picking them in this one. Patriots covering the 7-point spread against Miami. Drake May has been tremendous this season so far. Christian Gonzalez is a big X factor on defense because he can, has, and will shut down Tyreek Hill in man coverage. If the Patriots decide to go play zone, that's where the defense is going to get exposed. Ramondre Stevenson, though, I think he's going to be the X factor because I think the Patriots should play time of possession. Don't worry about the score. Worry about controlling time of possession. Take the ball out of Tua's hands. Take the ball out of Tyreek Hill's hands. The Dolphins' defensive front ranks 24th in run-stop win rate. So I think Ramondre Stevenson and maybe Drake May and maybe Antonio Gibson could have a lot of success running the football. The Patriots have won games outright in their last 2 appearances as 6-point underdogs. Week 8 and Week 10 versus the Jets and the Bears, respectively. So there's an opportunity for the Patriots to potentially upset. But since Week 6, Drake May and Tua have been probably the best accurate quarterbacks in the NFL because they rank 1 and 2, respectively, for lowest off-target throw percentage in the NFL. The Dolphins are the better team. I don't want to, make this so Patriots going to upset them. They might. But the Dolphins are the better team. But with Drake May playing as well as he has, I will take the Patriots to cover a 7-point spread, but the Dolphins do end up winning 27-21. Let's go to number 4.
Eagles at Rams.
So I'll take the Eagles here. I don't understand this point spread. It's only -2.5. Eagles are on a 6-game winning streak, with 3 out of the 6 of their victories being 1 score. The other ones, they blow them out of the water. The Eagles have 150 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in 5 straight games. That's the longest streak since 1988 with the Cincinnati Bengals, who also had 5 straight games of 150 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in those games. The Eagles' defense is number 1 in the NFL in total defense, number 1 graded according to PFF. They're number 1 defense in coverage. They're number 2 in pass rush. Stafford is the lowest rated quarterback while under pressure. 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1 big-time throw to 10 turnover-worthy plays. He puts the ball in harm's way when the pocket collapses. Passer rating while under pressure, he's ranks 25th out of 27 qualified quarterbacks. If the Eagles can get to Matt Stafford, Quinyon Mitchell's having a tremendous season, and also Zach Bond is also doing tremendous as a linebacker. I think the defense will get to Stafford, make him make some bad throws. I'll take the Eagles to win 30-24 and cover a -2.5 point spread. The final pick of Week 12 is
Buccaneers at Giants.
Now it's kind of risky because Tommy DeVito will be out there, but I am taking Tampa to win just because, guess what? The Bucs have lost 4 straight. 10-point loss to Baltimore, 5-point loss to Atlanta, 6-point overtime loss to Kansas City, and 3-point loss to San Francisco. All of those losses were without some of their top-tier receivers. The 5-point loss to Atlanta, the 6-point overtime loss to KC, and the 3-point loss to San Francisco. Now, Chris Godwin got hurt in the game to Baltimore, but it looks like Mike Evans will be back. So that'll be a big addition, and hopefully will give Baker Mayfield another added weapon and more comfort while in the pocket. But Tommy Cutlets is out there now. He's taking over the starting role after Daniel Jones got benched and then ultimately asked for his release, which the Giants granted today. But the big thing for this game will be pressure. Since Andrew Thomas went down in Week 7, the Giants have had the lowest graded and lowest rated pass block efficiency percentage in the NFL and lead the league in quarterback hits allowed in that time frame. So Tommy DeVito may get rocked in this game against Tampa. But when he played last year, the 5 games he did start, he ranked 22 out of 27 quarterbacks while under pressure. 50% completion percentage, dead last in passing yards, 25 out of 27 in yards per attempt with only 4.1, 1 touchdown, no picks. He wasn't great. He was one of the worst quarterbacks while under pressure. The Giants also don't stop the run very well. They're 29th in the league in stopping the run. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay's a top 10 rushing team. They're actually number 10 in rushing. So I expect Baker Mayfield in this offense to be humming. I expect the defense to disrupt Tommy DeVito. And if Malik Neighbors is out, which it looks like he might be with a groin injury, he hasn't practiced, I think this should be, smooth sailing for Tampa. They end the 4-game losing streak, get back in the win column, and those are my picks. Quick recap. I got let me bring it up real quick. I got the Lions -7. I got the Broncos -5.5. I got the Patriots +7, Eagles -2.5, and Tampa Bay -5.5. Those are my Week 12 picks. I feel good about it. And if I had to give one of those extra ones like I did last week, another one that I have betted on is the Chargers +3 against the Ravens because I have a lot of faith in Jim Harbaugh in the Brother Bowl to defeat his brother, which last time we saw them play, which was the Super Bowl Ravens-Niners. John Harbaugh ended up winning that game, but those are my picks. And as always, I ask you, which picks would you change from me that you think are better?
Well, I think the Patriots covering as a stretch because they never played well, even with Tom Brady in Miami. Maybe Gerard Mayo's changing that somehow, but this is the first try, so we'll see how that goes.
So what would you change it to?
I might change that one to Kansas City Panthers, right? I mean, the point spread's big, but Kansas City, I think, is going to dominate them.
Okay.
So I might change that one. The others, I think, looked okay.
Okay,
I do think the Ravens are going to beat the Chargers.
Well, that was kind of just an extra one that I have bet on anyway.
Yeah.
So your only real change would be New England plus 7 to Kansas City minus 10.5.
Right.
It's a big point spread against a team that doesn't blow out teams this season.
I know, but I mean, against the Panthers, and given that the Chiefs lost last week, their first game, they're going to be looking to bounce back. So I think they're going to beat them pretty badly.
I would probably also say Washington minus 10.5 would not be a bad
that one.
as well.
That one is interesting, but I didn't have the. I don't think Washington's going to cover.
Right.
They're going to find a way to. The Cowboys are going to find a way to cover, but not win.
Well, there you go. Those are my picks, and as always, that's brought to you by Dr. Squatch. If you're a new customer, you spend $30 more and use the link down below or go to www.drsquatch.com/The Harvey Hour. You get 3 free Fight Scrub bricks. That's a $24 value. Absolutely free. If you're a new customer, spend $30 more, use the link down below or go to www.drsquatch.com/The Harvey Hour. You get those free Fight Scrub bricks, $24 value. Absolutely free for new customers. That's our gift to you for supporting the show. And we thank you for always supporting the show. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, we thank you constantly tuning into the show, watching the clips, watching us here. If you missed any of the show, you could actually just rewind, watch this back on YouTube, or go to Spotify and take this show wherever you go. On the road, we are there. Spotify. This episode will be uploaded later tonight if you missed anything. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday. We're gonna recap everything with Week 12. Monday night should be a very, very fascinating game, to break down on Tuesday's episode. But yeah, we'll see you Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Traveling can be a nightmare. Why? You can't watch your favorite shows abroad. You can't trust public Wi-Fi spots anymore. And when you return, roaming bills kill your vibe. Unless you get a NordVPN and Saley deal. NordVPN will increase your privacy online. And Saley, a global eSIM data app, will save you from those unexpected roaming charges. Grab the 2-year NordVPN deal with 76% off and get up to 20 gigabytes Saley